Welcome to the 10 Days Before Christmas, a collection of modern BL short stories, told softly between falling snow, quiet lights, and those small moments where everything can change. Each day leading up to Christmas, a meeting, a pause, a confession, a simple story, but never an ordinary one. Take a breath. Settle in. Here is today's story.
Day 4. The boyfriend my dog already chose. Theo hated mornings. Not loudly, not with drama. He hated them quietly, like a long-standing disagreement he had no interest in resolving. Mornings were cold, intrusive, and unnecessary. He moved through them wrapped in sweaters and mild resentment, negotiating with himself for every step. Atlas did not care. Atlas believed mornings were sacred. Morning meant leash. Morning meant outside. Morning meant the park. By the third morning in a row, Theo was convinced something was wrong. "Why," Theo muttered, tightening his scarf as Atlas pulled forward with unwavering determination, "are we walking like we're late for something again?" Atlas wagged harder. They turned to the familiar corner of the park, the one with the snow-buried bench and the bare maple trees, and Theo saw him immediately. Same dark coat, same knit hat pulled low, same golden retriever sitting calmly at his side, posture perfect, tail sweeping slow, patient arcs in the snow. Atlas made a pleased sound and dragged Theo straight toward them. "Again?" Theo said under his breath. The man looked up, eyes bright, and laughed. "I was hoping it wasn't just me noticing." Atlas sat directly at the man's feet, tail thumping like he'd completed a task. Theo stopped walking. "You have got to be kidding me." The man crouched easily, scratching Atlas behind the ears. "Good morning to you too." Atlas leaned into the touch like he'd been waiting for it all his life. "You betray me for strangers now?" Theo asked his dog. Atlas sneezed happily. The man stood, brushing snow from his gloves. "I think your dog has a type." "That's what I'm afraid of," Theo said. "He adopts people he likes." "Lucky me." "Yeah," he added, resigned, "and I'm Theo." "I'm Leo," the man said, offering a hand, "and I feel like I've been pre-approved." Theo shook it. "Unfortunately." Before Theo could step back, the golden retriever rose and potted over, tail wagging in a calm, deliberate way, polite enough to feel intentional. "And this," Leo said, fondly, "is Milo." Milo sat neatly at Leo's side, gaze warm and steady. Theo blinked. "He's very well behaved." Milo tilted his head, as if acknowledging the compliment. "He likes to make a good first impression," Leo said. "Unlike me." Atlas circled Milo once, sniffed his ear, and, without ceremony, sat beside him. The two dogs leaned lightly into each other, shoulders touching. Theo stared. "They just decided?" Leo laughed. "Looks like it." Atlas huffed, pleased. Milo wagged once, slow and certain. "I swear," Theo said, rubbing his forehead, "Atlas is never this agreeable." Milo glanced up at Theo, then rested his chin on Atlas's back. Something loosened in Theo's chest. "Well," Theo said quietly, "that explains why I am being dragged here every morning." Leo smiled. "Milo has excellent instincts." Atlas wagged like he'd been vindicated. They started walking together without quite deciding to. Snow crunched beneath their boots, their breath fogged the air. "So," Leo said, nodding at Atlas, "does he always lead this aggressively?" "He believes he's in charge." "And is he?" Theo snorted. "Absolutely." Atlas stopped suddenly, forcing Theo to stumble forward. Leo chuckled. "A benevolent dictatorship, then." Conversation came easily after that. They talked about the cold, about winter routines, about how early was too early to admit defeat and buy coffee. Theo learned Leo worked remotely in project coordination. Leo learned Theo was a freelance graphic designer who avoided offices because they were too loud. "Too many expectations," Theo admitted. "Too many people watching." Leo nodded. "Dogs are better coworkers. They nap. They respect boundaries. And they're very clear about lunch." Atlas chose that moment to sit dramatically and stare at Leo's pocket. Leo raised an eyebrow. "Is he judging me?" "He knows you have treats." "How?" Theo shrugged. "He smells guilt." Leo laughed and offered a biscuit. Atlas accepted it with exaggerated politeness, then looked smugly at Theo. By the fourth morning, Theo stopped pretending it was a coincidence. He started looking for Leo the moment they entered the park. They began to expect each other, a nod, a shared smile before the dogs noticed. Conversations grew longer, easier, warmer. They talked about their favorite movies to watch, about routines that felt like comfort instead of habit, about the strange intimacy of walking side by side without needing to perform. One morning, Atlas stole Leo's glove and refused to give it back. "Atlas," Theo said firmly. Atlas ran a triumphant circle. "He's asserting dominance," Leo said calmly. "Over gloves? It starts small." Theo chased Atlas through the snow, slipping slightly, laughing harder than he expected. Milo watched patiently, then retrieved the dropped glove and placed it neatly at Leo's feet. Theo stopped laughing. "Wow, he's perfect." Leo shrugged. "He's very committed to harmony." Theo glanced at Milo, then back at Atlas, who was now rolling in the snow. "They balance each other out." "Yeah," Leo said softly. "They do." On the morning of Christmas Eve, Theo was late. Atlas pulled harder than usual, as if worried they might miss something important. Leo was already there. Milo sat patiently beside him, tail sweeping slow arcs, like he'd been waiting on purpose. Leo lifted 2 takeaway cups. "You look like you need this." Theo blinked. "Did you—" "Black with oat milk," Leo said. Milo helped. Atlas supervised. Atlas barked once, proud. Theo laughed, accepting the cup. Their fingers brushed, brief and warm. Of course they did. They stood watching the dogs play. Atlas chased falling snow with reckless enthusiasm. Milo followed at a slower pace, circling back whenever Atlas strayed too far, quietly keeping order. "They really did choose," Theo said. Leo nodded. "Way before we did." The park felt hushed, peaceful. "So," Leo said, carefully casual, hands in his pockets, "dinner tonight?" Theo felt the question settle gently, no pressure, no urgency. He looked down. Atlas and Milo had both stopped running. They sat side by side between them, tails wagging in quiet synchrony, gazes fixed on Theo like the decision was already made. Theo stared. "You've been plotting this." Milo thumped his tail once. Atlas wagged harder. Leo laughed. "I warned you, they're very convincing." Theo took a breath. Snow falling, coffee warm in his hands. 2 dogs, 1 very kind man. "Guess I don't have a choice," Theo said. Leo's smile was slow and bright. "I'll take that." They walked back together, shoulders brushing, Atlas trotting proudly ahead while Milo stayed just close enough to keep them connected. Some matches didn't need effort. They just needed a dog with excellent instincts. Sometimes 2 of them. Christmas Dinner Epilogue. Theo hadn't planned to host Christmas dinner. He'd planned something simple. Leftovers, a movie he'd already seen. Atlas curled at his feet. Quiet, manageable, safe. That plan unraveled the moment Atlas appeared in the hallway with his leash in his mouth, tail wagging with deliberate intent. "No," Theo said. "Absolutely not." Atlas wagged harder. An hour later, Theo was standing in his kitchen, sleeves rolled up, trying to remember if he owned a roasting pan. Atlas supervised from the rug like a junior manager who offered no help but expected results. The knock came right on time. Theo opened the door to cold air, Leo's easy smile, and Milo sitting politely at his side, posture calm, tail moving in slow, hopeful arcs. "Hi," Leo said. "We brought wine and moral support." Milo lifted his head, clearly the moral support. Atlas trotted over, sniffed Milo once, and stepped aside like this had all been agreed upon in advance. Theo stared. "You coordinated." Leo laughed. "I may have consulted the committee." Milo entered calmly, sniffed the space, then sat neatly near the entryway, as if he'd been here before. Atlas circled once and flopped down beside him, satisfied. Theo closed the door, smiling to spite himself. "I've lost control of my home." "It's very welcoming," Leo said. They approved immediately. Dinner was simple and honest. Roasted vegetables, pasta, bread warmed just enough. The kind of food you make when you're not trying to impress anyone. They cooked together without choreography, bumping elbows, trading utensils, laughing when Atlas stole a carrot and Milo gently retrieved it and placed it back on the counter like an apology. "I don't usually cook for people," Theo admitted as they set plates down. Leo looked up, surprised. "I'm honored then." They ate slowly, talked easily, about favorite holiday movies, about traditions they'd quietly let go of, about being in their 20s and still figuring out what kind of life felt right. "I used to think Christmas had to be big, like if it wasn't memorable, it didn't count." "And now?" asked Leo. Theo shrugged. "Now I just want it to feel kind, like I don't have to earn it." Leo nodded. "That feels right." After dinner, they moved to the living room. Atlas claimed the rug immediately. Milo settled beside him without hesitation, their bodies angled together in comfortable symmetry, energy and calm side by side. Theo noticed it then, how Milo's steadiness grounded Atlas, how Atlas's enthusiasm pulled Milo just a little closer to the center of things. "They really did find each other," Theo said softly. Leo smiled. "They're good at recognizing what fits." Theo hesitated, then added quietly, "I'm still learning." Leo met his gaze. "You're doing fine." The lights were low. Snow fell quietly outside. The room felt warm in a way Theo hadn't realized he'd been missing. When it was time to leave, Leo stood and Milo arose obediently. Atlas followed them to the door, and then, very deliberately, sat down between Theo and Leo, tail wagging with purpose. Theo stared. "Oh, come on." Milo sat too, mirroring him. Leo laughed softly. They formed a united front. Theo took a breath. The moment didn't feel heavy, just honest. "Would you," Theo said, steady and clear, "want to come back tomorrow morning? The park?" Leo's smile was immediate. "I was hoping you'd ask." Atlas wagged like a deal had been sealed. Milo's tail thumped once in quiet agreement. After the door closed, Theo leaned against it, exhaling a laugh. Atlas potted over and sat at his feet, content. "You really did choose," Theo said. Atlas wagged. Theo smiled. Some things didn't need convincing. They just needed the right timing and a couple of dogs who knew when to sit, when to stay, and when to gently push you towards something good.
And that was today's story, one of 10 stories gently leading us toward Christmas. If this moment stayed with you, feel free to leave a comment or share it with someone who enjoys stories told from the heart. We'll meet again tomorrow for another encounter, another quiet spark, and one step closer to Christmas. Until then, take care and leave a little room for softness.